Hey, Lowry Smith of the CommanderSmiths here with Switcheroo. Um, gonna be going through some of my decks that I currently have: Kenrith, Muldrotha, Omnath, and my Will and Mike deck. Gonna be switching some cards in and out, a different format this time. I already have a lot of the cards picked out, and then I'll run through the deck and add handful of other cards, see if they can fit anywhere. Even though I like them with the deck, they might not just fit in, and I'm just gonna accept that. I'm gonna try and move quicker than I have in the last, couple months and stuff like that. So just falling behind on doing decks and also probably just making it more entertaining, right? Um, so also if you're watching this live, really appreciate it. What's up, Renshai? And, if you're watching this after, when it's just regular, not live, I'd say watch this in 1.5 speed. You'll still be able to hear me. I'm not a super fast talker, and, you'll get to more content that way too. What is the Commander Smiths? We are a, Magic the Gathering content creating force. We do a podcast Monday nights live and then on YouTube, and then it's also released on Wednesdays for all your podcast streaming places, wherever you do it. We also put out shorts on Monday and Friday, curated. Adam will make proxies on Sundays, or we'll work on making decks or switcheroo. And, we just podcast is generally a couple of games and a couple of, thoughts, philosophy, cards, lists, stuff like that. We like it. Oh, why is she listening too? Um, That's almost hurtful, but it's not. Mr. Hockey's wife says, "Shut up, Lowry." And I totally get that. I totally get it, but it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. Um, it probably is too loud. That's alright. You need to just cuddle up to her and then but listen to me, right? That's what I would do. That's what I have done. Alright. Might be a little in close here, but Kenrith, let's just explain the deck really quick. This version is an anti-landfall slash kill people while you're gaining life deck. Come on. Cole saying he listens, cuddled up to his wife, but listening to me. Yep, that's if you want, I can go a little bit more baritone. I don't know if that'd help you or her, but just let me know. Just kidding. I can't change my voice like that. No, it's not. It sounds weird. I can't do it. Okay. So Kenrith is an anti-landfall deck where it's also ramping everybody. So hopefully if I'm doing that, it hurts everybody. And then also there's a life gain package in there that drains everybody. So first off, I'll show you the cards that I'm going to switch in. I probably should have just switched them in already. Okay. Also, there is a heavy enchantment theme, and I'm kind of trying to wiggle those out because Kenrith doesn't really work together with enchantments. But taking out Ghostly Prison, putting in Smuggler's Share, I want to check it out. But I'm putting lands into play for people, along with I can force people to draw if I want. But it's going to help, I think, either way. You have a life gain package. I have a life gain package. It's worked twice. I have 2 children. Propaganda is gone. They're very good. But I'm trying to add a creature. So 1/2 that can kind of block pretty early on. I have cards that lower the activation cost. So I'm hoping I'm just paying 1 to just draw and discard a card and make him bigger, which can be I'm thinking cool. Don't most people have a life game? This is we're talking about penises and vaginas right here, folks. So if you're unaware, Confounding Conundrum is a great general card. But I actually don't want to hurt people from playing their lands. I want them to be hurt playing their lands, if that makes sense. So Cemetery Gatekeeper, whenever a land comes into play under an opponent's control, they take 2 damage. That's what I'm working for. It's cheap, it's early. That's more of what I want rather than not or having them not be able to play lands. Drawing cards, just looking to draw more cards. Real mature Lowry. Why? Because I said penis and vagina. I did I have a degree in health and physical education. I don't have the licensures anymore. But looking for ways to refill the hand, Wheel of Fortune, classic. Let's see here. Wait, do you double sleeve your decks? Yes, I do. I do double sleeve my decks. The reason being is because of the proxies. So proxies add thickness to cards because they're just taped on paper. And so I add the sleeve on the real cards to make because I can tell. I can tell. If I can tell, then that's not good. So that's what I do. I'm adding in meaner cards. So reason why Karmic Justice was in there because I had a lot of enchantments, and like I said, I'm trying to move away from enchantments, but I still want to protect my stuff. Avacyn is a card that it gives everything indestructible, and it's something that's recurable with Kenrith with that black ability, and so it's pretty nice. Vorinclex is another really mean card. Going in from Mirari's Wake, they're both fantastic. Like Mirari's Wake was there, and every time I played it, it was fantastic. Doubling the mana, and it goes crazy. But if I put in Vorinclex, that's hateful. I had it in another deck. I killed that deck, so I'm like, I want to use it at least somewhere. So, and I think that'll work here. So that's going to be mean. Also recurable with Kenrith, and that's something that I'm looking for. Open the Vaults was to bring back all my enchantments just in case they got busted up. But since again, more enchantments are going away, probably Eternal Witness is just better to bring back non-creature cards, and then I can recur with Kenrith. It's a nice blocker, and it should just keep on moving forward. Phyrexian Arena is out, and Sylvan Library is in, just trying to make the deck a little bit more powerful, a little bit more oomph, because nobody's doing anything. It doesn't really do much for a while. All right. So you can see a little bit here. Boseji, who endures, everybody's like, yeah, that's a fantastic card. But that's kind of the theme of the deck is it's having people go and get lands and putting them into play. And so they either I'm getting a really good deal and they don't want to go get a land, or they go get a land, ramp a little bit, but also are dealt damage. That's kind of the deal. All right, next bloom ancient going in just because it gives me that ramp again. Um Omniscience was really easy. It was nice, but again, it's enchantment not really needed. Next bloom ancient should be some big powerful swings right there. And Visions of Ruin is I like the card a lot. But for flavor wise, for what the deck is doing, Per's Whim, I'll show you what that can do. So if I have something like Azozu, the Punisher thing down, for each player, choose friend or foe. So either I can choose friend, everybody goes and gets a land card, puts it into the battlefield tapped. And it's any land card. It's pretty much forcing them to do it. I think they can still choose to fail or like fail to find. Um, or everybody sacrifices an artifact or enchantment, whoever I choose foe for. So it's just much more on brand. I still get to go get a land, and it's a win-win for me. That's kind of what I put in there. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. Not a bad switch. Kind of want to go through. Let's see here. It's kind of just. We're just going to go through. Let's see what we're going to try and add in a little bit here. But otherwise, we'll see. All right. From the Ashes is destroy all non-basic lands, and then for each non-basic land that was destroyed, that player gets to go and put a basic land into play tapped. Perfect for this deck, the Zozu style card. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Druid class gains me life whenever a land comes into play, but also that second tier allows me to play an extra land each turn. Or so that's something that I'm potentially looking at. I like the idea of gaining a little bit of life. Like it can be kind of nice. Crumble and Nature's Claim is just really cheap artifact and enchantment removal. Nightshade Harvester, it's 4 mana, which is why it got taken out. But whenever land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player loses life, and you put a 1/1 counter on him. Being a creature makes it more ideal. Zur the Enchanter is to go and get enchantments. So that it's still probably pretty relevant in here, but we'll have to go through and see if it actually works still. Clear the land. Each player reveals the top 5 cards of his or her library. Put into play tapped all land cards revealed this way and remove the rest from the game. So this is probably a cheap version. It does force any lands to come into play. It's for everybody, but in a Zozu style deck, it can really hurt people. Um, so we'll see if that gets fit in. Acidic Soil deals 1 damage to each player for each land he or she controls. That might just be kind of like an end game thing. And then Deep Gnome Terramancer, 2/2 flash. Whenever one or more lands enter the battlefield under an opponent's control without being played, you may search your library for a plains card, put it in the battlefield tap, then shuffle. You do it only once each turn. But so this works with fetches. I'm having people go and put lands into play. So this should help me. And white is something that I really focus on because it's part of the life gain in there. So this is a for sure. And I want that in, that, and that. These other cards are kind of whatever for me. I might still find cards in the deck that I think I just want a creature in for, and I might just go get that or set it off to the side. I'm not sure what I'll do there. All right, Mirror Maid is good for copying enchantments, artifacts. So this will stay in. Mystic Remora is just a great draw spell. Shalai is in there, great protection, creature form, able to bring it back. Thrashing Brontodon, 3/4, pay 1, sacrifice it. So it blocks well, and you can sack it, destroy an artifact or enchantment, and then bring it back with Kenrith whenever you start reanimating stuff. Piers Whim, we just added that in. Training Grounds reduces the cost. And so basically it's 1 white, gain 5 life, and it works very well in this deck. Ristic Study is just another draw. Fell Warstone gets me whatever mana I need. Veto Thorn so it's whenever I gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So you can be gaining 20, 30 life per turn and draining somebody of that with Veto. It's pretty sweet. It's all ring given. Assassin's Trophy is destroying any permanent, but put a land into play. See that? To get infinite mana in that deck. No, I do not. I would not do infinite mana in here because that would combo with, Kenrith would just deck people and stuff like that. So that was not something that I'm interested in. I'm okay generating a ton of mana as much as I possibly can, but I don't want to go infinite. Settle the Wreckage is removal with putting lands into play. Scholar of Athreos, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain a life for each life lost. So again, it generally is a black in doing that, or we're increasing the mana. One reason why this is in here is because I've had it where, let's veto veto targets a player, and I've had people with Shalai in play. I cannot target them because it's giving them hexproof, and they suit it up, and there's no way to target them, and I just lose the game. And so this is a way that I can kind of get around it that way. Next Bloom just added. Boseji just added. Winds of Abandon is removal with them getting lands into play. Seedborn Muse allows me to just tap tons of mana for Kenrith. Dense Foliage, I'm not targeting creatures necessarily, and so I like Dense Foliage to protect my stuff. Zerto reduces the cost for Kenrith again. Arcane Signet for mana. Necrotic Sliver, it should just be basically 1 sacrifice to destroy any permanent, and then Kenrith can bring it back. Rites of Flourishing, people can play more lands, everybody's drawing an extra card. That's kind of what I want going on. Biomancer's Familiar reduces the activation costs again. Exploration allows me to play an extra land. So this is something that I've considered for Druid class, but it's there's a lot more mana invested there. So we'll see. Teferi's Protection. Sanctum Weaver might be something that I get out of there. I'd have to do an enchantment count So this, I guess that has some potential. For Deep Gnome Terramancer. That might work. Crypt, library. Gretchen Tillowitch is there for the draw. Nothing's there really for the draw, but that basically it turns into a green blue. Look at the top card, draw. Eternal Witness, we just added in. Collected Voyage is join forces. Everybody, I'm having everybody put land into play if they so wish. It hopefully is dealing them damage. Um, and is pretty solid there, which could be from the ashes, like kind of forcing them to do it. Zozu the Punisher is awesome in here, dealing 2 damage each time it comes down. Warnclex there for doubling. Thrasios for drawing cards and putting it into play. Absence there for protection. All right. The other thing is maybe a collective voyage is maybe something like clear the land, but I don't have to sink so much mana into it. Maybe. All right. Copy enchantment is something that is still probably good. Let's take that out just in case. Spellskite, Estrid's Invocation is another enchantment copy, and then also New Frontiers is same thing as Collective Voyage. Wheel of Fortune, everybody's drawing cards. Archivist of Ogma, this should draw me a ton of card, gain me life, because I'm having people search through the libraries. Cemetery Gatekeepers for the damage. Hypnotic Grifter. Is there anything here that I know I just added it, but I don't necessarily care about it either? Well, maybe now I care about the draw discard more because I have more creatures that I can reanimate. That makes more sense. Sanguine Bond is I gain life, they lose life. Shattered Angel, whenever a land comes into play for them, I gain 3 life, so that's pretty sweet. Smuggler Share, already did that. Scroll Tribuilder for ramp. False Cure, so it's whenever a player gains life, they lose 2 life for each one they've gained. So you cast this and have them gain 5 life, and they actually lose 10. And you can do that as much mana as you can. It's pretty sweet. Chromatic Lantern for the mana, Esper Sentinel for the draw, Vizkopa Guild Mage. This is another one for it doesn't target the life gain, so it allows people to get trained if they have protection. Inspiring Call, protection for Kenrith, because you can put 1/1 counters on your creatures with him, and then you're drawing cards off that as well. Tainted Remedy is they gain life, they'll actually lose that life. It's great. Sire of Stagnation. Let's see here. Steve is getting some chance here. Let's bring him back. That's probably the most exciting thing here, right? Sakura Tribuilder is gorgeous. All right, everybody's here to just see Steve. Sire of Stagnation is going to draw me cards and exile cards from their library whenever land comes into play. Seeds of Innocence is there just to destroy artifacts and gain a bit of life. I'm not very artifact heavy, so it's nice. Avatar Growth. 4/4 when it ETBs, each player searches their library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them into the battlefield, then shuffles their library. I don't dislike it, but I because normally this is just going to be like green colorless for a 4/4 trample that everybody goes and gets 2 lands for. I think I'd like a little bit more. I'm very basic land heavy in this one, and so From the Ashes might be a little bit nicer in here versus that. Tunnel Ignis is going to deal damage for people for having more lands come into play. Top is great. Ankh of Mishra, 2 damage for the land coming into play. Wilderness Reclamation is just untapping to give me more mana for the activations. Path to Exile puts a land into play by exiling a card. And Polluted Bonds, whenever a land comes into play under an opponent's control, that player loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. That's the deck right there. Do I like some of the thoughts that I was having here? I'm going to go through and just, another Wilderness Wreck. Another Tainted Remedy might be nice. That stacks, I believe. Smuggler's Share. I think I still have enough enchantments in here that make it worth having some copy enchantments. I have, I wouldn't really copy that, but no. I can copy Nyx Bloom Ancient. Ooh, that'd be hot. Ristic, Training Grounds could be nice. Yeah, I think at this point I'm okay keeping this. Can get an artifact, so I'm happy with that too. Any thoughts? I think these two, I don't care about them. They don't have to be in here. I like the idea of Sanctum Weaver out, Deep Gnome Terramancer in. I don't think I have enough. I mean, it's a great card. It taps for a ton of mana. Is this just like a dumb idea? Let's cut it for now. All right. Deep Gnome can go in. I like the idea of Avatar of Growth out, even though I just bought it within the last like 6 months for this deck. And I think From the Ashes might be the better card to kind of mess around with. So we're at 13 cards that have gone in. Yeah. And that's a big switch at this point. All right. Does anybody agree with the idea of one of these two, probably New Frontiers, being cut for Clear the Land? I don't need as many land for that one. And normally when I'm casting these things, I'm just like using up all my mana to put in more mana. This is potentially hit or miss. Well, let's do it. Okay, we'll keep Collective Voyage and we will cut New Frontiers. Because I think Clear the Land is going to be, probably a nice turn 3 play. I wouldn't have any issue with that. But New Frontiers, probably not. Be a 2-hit for everybody on turn 3 if I had it. Oh, that's a good question. Because it'd be guaranteed. So at that same cost, I'm getting 2 mana that way no matter what. This is a hit or not. Okay, I see what you're saying, Cole. Yeah, I mean, they're comparable. It's a mana sink, but at the same time, like, green 2 colorless gets me 2 mana. This is something. This could help my opponents more or hurt them more. That's a good question. All right, we'll just do it. See how it works. That's fine. I don't know if it's necessarily the best. Okay. So the hard decision here is going to be, I think Zerg gets cut. I don't think that's in there anymore. I think I can get rid of acidic soil is something kind of similar. It's like burning them for having mana, not necessarily like ETB lands, but I think we can get rid of that. I think we can cut it. So the question ends up being Nightblade Harvester or these two. This ends up being like too much mana. Having 1 life is kind of nice. I don't know how much, because I do have a couple of triggers the life gain. Like Veto generally is going to come down early. But Exploration seems, it's just so cheap. I'm probably too afraid to do that. All right, I think that's the deck. We switched out like 13, 14 cards. I think that went well. Happy with that. It's gonna feel like a very new deck. Is there anything in here that I'll keep the last couple around? New Frontiers. Maybe Sanctum Weaver. I'm pretty sure everything else goes. Yeah. All right. There we go. All right. Deck 1 done. Let's see here. Let's go with Muldrotha, one of my oldest, most favorite decks. We're coming back to Dominaria. Let's see here. All right, got a couple of cards that are loose. Let's see here. I think that's it. Okay, these are in. These are maybes. All right, so Muldrotha is just trying to play as many cards from the graveyard as possible each turn, and use a bunch of what's going on. So Muldrotha is during each of your turns, you may play up to one permanent card for each permanent type in your graveyard. So I have a good mix of creatures, lands, enchantments, artifacts that all kind of sacrifice themselves, and just kind of having a buildup of cards that might work together. All right, so let's go with cheaper version, and this probably should happen in Kenrith as well, but cutting down Thrashing Bronzodon from 3 to 4, or 3/4 down to a 2/2, but essentially sack it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. It also has a backside, which I'm not terribly worried about. Still does the same thing. And then if it attacks, that also destroys. So that could be nice. I think I'd have to get another one, but it's probably the better version. So that's good to go. Just being able to bring it back for one green cheaper is less mana investment, right? All right. Same thing here. Seal of Doom, sacrifice, deal Seal of Doom, destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. And very similar, it's an enchantment, and then you sacrifice it, and then it returns a creature they control. Um, Destruction's better than bounce, even for the mana. And so it's nice to not have them come back from stuff. The black part's a little rough, but that should be fine. All right, let's see here. All right, Lord of the Forsaken, 6 mana for a 6/6 flying trample, and then you can pay a black, sacrifice a creature, target player mills 3 cards, and then pay 1 life, add a colorless, spend this mana only to cast spells from your graveyard. I'm casting a ton of spells from my graveyard. I'm cutting Lord of Extinction. I'm not really milling anybody else, but it is generally a real big boy. But I want the mana. I'd rather have the mana, and it's still a 6/6 flying trample. Like it's no slouch or anything, right? So the Lord of Extinction gets chump blocked all day. So a little bit more aggression should be nice. Hmm. Okay, so I'm going to cut Splendid Reclamation, which brings a bunch of lands back into play, but I don't think that's super necessary anyway. And I'm going to go for Jorn, God of Winter. That will allow. I don't know why I did that. That will allow me to untap my land, and because I have snow covered lands in here, and then I can replay it, recast it at any point. I don't have a lot of snow things to bring back, so I don't care about that point. But untapping all my basic lands seems like it could be really beneficial. So we'll try that. And I had this in that section. I don't know. So a couple of cards that we are thinking about adding in that I didn't get a chance to think about. Old Stick Fingers is going to mill my cards and put a bunch of creatures into my hand, which is nice. Angel of Suffering. Whenever I'm dealt damage, I mill twice that many cards, which is basically drawing cards in this deck. Just put Muldrotha in Yarok, problem solved. It's good there. It's very good there, right? Rit Coil Creeper. This can tap to add 2 mana of any one color for casting spells from your graveyard. It's a 2/2 for 2. And then the flashback bar doesn't matter. So it can add 1 mana or 2 mana. It's a little bit of ramp. I don't know how I feel about it at this point, but Kaya's Ghost Form is going to be great for protecting Muldrotha because it's it's an enchantment. So Muldrotha dies, but it come back into play, and then I can cast it the next chance I get since it's an enchantment in my graveyard. Priest of the Haunted Edge. Again, this is the only other like snow thing probably in here, but 04 taps and it's going to be killing creatures, and then I can recast it for the next turn. So a nice little card removal there. Let's skim through. So 1, 2, 3, 4 cards already out. Um, Mystic Remora is fantastic in the deck because I don't have to pay the cumulative upkeep. I can just, I pay one and then I let it die and recast it if I don't have any enchantments that I care about recasting. So it's great. Spell Bomb is great for draw because I can always just exile a graveyard, pay the black, and draw. Just kind of keep on doing it. Same thing with Soul Guy and Lantern. It's graveyard removal, but also drawing. Baleful Strix is also drawing. Merit Lage's Slumber is scrying. Unfulfilled Desires. If it's not in here, I'm probably gonna have to go get it since I brought it up. But I think it's in here. That's why I said it. Merit Lage's Slumber is there to um I want to get Merit Lage out, but also I can recast it once it's sacked and still get that stuff. Hermit Druid, it just is like drawing here. Ice Fang Codal is nice, being able to just cheap draw, recast. Muldrifter, evoke, drawing 2 cards, replaying it later. Ashiok is really good because I can mill myself 4 and exile everybody else's graveyard. Unfulfilled Desires, got it. Teferi Master of Time is draw and discard a card. It's there basically for that, and it's like drawing 2 cards basically. Underrealm Lich is great. Protecting your stuff, it's going to mill you pretty quick. It's awesome. Doom Whisperer is also there to mill yourself and get more cards. Exploration. Didn't It's still nice to be able to play multiple lands, but it doesn't work specifically with Muldrotha, but it's a solid card. Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, able to replay it. Jeweled Lotus, able to replay it. Death Right Shaman, you can start eating your graveyard for stuff that that you're not able to recast anymore. Lotus Petal is recastable ramp. Same thing with Sakura Tribe Elder. Steve, right? Steve? Colony Heart Expedition. This is something I don't think that's going to make it. I can recast it because it sacrifices, puts 2 lands into play after landfall, and then I can just recast it for more ramp. I wasn't in the mindset of like cutting, but I kind of like what's going on here. All these cards. I'm not like any of these are real bad. Um, if I have to, I'll probably cut Nihil Spellbomb for the priest. I think the priest needs to come in. Kaya definitely needs to come in. And then the top row, I'm not so sure on. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Mindstone, I like it just for its ramp along with draw in this deck. I'd rather have that than Graveyard Hate. Crucible of Worlds does work with exploration, so I can play 2 from the graveyard. That works nice. Sword of Feast and Famine is untapping my lands if they hit. See, I knew Steve Chance would come out. Untapping the lands is really nice. It's like having an extra turn in here because you're drawing tons of cards. It's fantastic. Commander Sphere is mana along with a draw. Azusa Lost but Seeking is also playing land from the graveyard. Works with Crucible of Worlds. It's fantastic. Bear Umbra is untapping my lands. That's why Jorn kind of made it in this, just an extra effect for that. Solemn Simulacrum. I like that, like, when it dies, I can, I draw and then it ETBs and I ramp and I can do that over and over. Also a really nice thing is artifact and creature are different types. And so if I've played a creature, I can still cast Solemn Simulacrum and choose the artifact side if I haven't done an artifact already. All right. Gravebreaker Lamia. Let's see here. All right. So spells cast from the graveyard cost 1 less, which is really nice. Along with when it ETBs, I can put a card into my graveyard, which again is really nice. That mana cost is not my favorite, but I think I'm all right with it. That's not really tutor enough. Tormod gets you a 2/2 for every time a card leaves your graveyard, so you're creating an army there. Second Chance kind of is infinite, but it allows me to have a ton of turns if I have less than 5 life. So Key to the City makes something unblockable. Do I care about that anymore? Like that was there for some of the biggins, but Key to the City is maybe cuttable. Aetherflux Reservoir really works in this deck. And I think I only have that in this and Feather. Maybe Trayless aren't. God, Aetherflux Reservoir is really good. Consuming Aberration is probably something that's going to help me mill everybody, but also it gets huge. So that's nice. Emrakul, the Promised End, is huge creature, does a lot of stuff. Pernicious Deed is repeatable, removal. It's fantastic. Karn Liberated, it's a house. It's really good. Because it exiles any permanent. It's for Aussies? Aetherflux is for Aussies, like Australians? Okay, so it's not 7 life? Oh, with your demon. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's kinda true. And it has worked really well because it's just a general kill. But the 7 mana is a lot. But with that new demon, like you're saying, that's pretty nice too. Um Getting 2 activations off this, because like, what you can do is you go, "I exile that thing," and it dies, right? And then you can recast it and do it again. And so every turn you're doing it twice, you're just not moving forward really quick. I might cut Pernicious Deed. I think it's really good. It's crazy good, but it hits my stuff too. Do I care about that? Maybe I don't. Alright. I think I'm gonna be able to better control the board with the priest, maybe. I don't know. And then Neil Spellbomb. I'm okay with that at this point. I want Kaya's Ghost Form in here. I think that works really well. I want the priest in there. I just don't. I'm, rebuilding from that is work. Maybe. I don't know. That's probably the wrong choice, actually. I think that might have a chance. Because what does this do? When you cast this spell, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards. Put all creature cards revealed this way into the graveyard, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then its power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So you're filling up your graveyard pretty well. That's kind of what Angel of Suffering is doing as well. 5/3 flying, and then just somebody that's going to be biggish but chumpable. Windfall, I think, was another card I considered. All right. Vampire Hexmage is better than you think, too. So I'm not cutting that. It's always done work against. For some reason, there's more planeswalkers out there than I ever anticipated. Caustic Caterpillar is great for artifact and enchantment removal. Seal Primordial, same thing. Profaner of the Dead is some solid mass bounce. Yeah. Shriek Maw is great recurable removal. Executioner Capsule is in there because it works with Glissa, the trader, really well. I could just as much mana as I want. I don't need Muldrotha in there, but it's still sweet. Marin is to bring creatures back. Just more creatures is always nice. Animate Dead is also really nice, recurable with the enchantment. So if I have something like I'm just trying to get rid of a bunch of people's artifacts and enchantments, I can sacrifice it, recast it with Muldrotha, sacrifice it, bring back, or then cast Animate Dead, sacrifice it, and then recast the Animate Dead with Muldrotha to bring something back. It works really well in there. So Dance of the Dead is right there. Same thing with Necromancy. Pretty sweet. Journey of Eternity is just there because it will flip in this deck. And so I'm not terribly worried about that. Emery is just another set that's going to allow me to recast my artifacts. Not really cutting much. Glissa, the trader, like I said, it's going to bring back those artifacts whenever I'm killing their stuff. Elephant Grass is going to protect me from creatures attacking. And again, it's 1 green, cumulative upkeep 1. And then if I don't have any other enchantments that I want to recur, that third time I don't pay it and then replay it with Muldrotha. It's nice. Protection. Hope of Gear Pure is really easily recurable. Spore Frog is a recurable fog. Spellskite is great. Protection with the boots. We got Renshai is inspired and working on his Dragon deck. It's always fun. Oh boy. Let's see here. Okay, I need to think about these two a little bit. Windfall's probably going to draw me a ton of cards. I probably don't have a problem with that. So the question ends up being, I think Recoil Creeper doesn't make the cut. It's 2 mana, it's nice, but I think I have enough ramp in there. Do I care? I think Windfall stays. Like, that's just drawing a ton of cards. Like, I can cast that at any point. I don't have to wait until I'm down low on cards in hand because I'm going to be able to replay a ton of those. And then Key to the City. Cole loves some stick fingers. I think that says a lot about you. Just kidding. I don't know. You got like witch fingers or something? Okay. The Key to the City is all right, but I don't know if I really care about that. All right. Key to the City's out. And I'll go with the stick fingers since you are partial to it. I think that works. Because it can just be, if at 4 mana, it can put 2 creatures into the graveyard. It's random, it's recastable, and it helps. Like, it's for whatever amount of mana I have left open. I can just sink a ton of it recasting or whatever. Angel of Suffering. I mean, like, old stick fingers can just be green black and really big. That's all it has to be. Sup, Travis? Let's replace the other graveyard bomb. You cut. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, like it does help replace Lord of Extinction. And so I agree with that as well. A little bit more specific, and it's not going to be nearly as big as Lord of Extinction, but it can help fill the graveyard as well. Yep. Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page. All right. Angel of Suffering. I still like that card, but I think Muldrotha is done being cut. Is there anything that I really want to keep in here? I don't know how much I'll regret that. Splendid. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm happy with all those cuts. Keep these 2 around in the deck. Nope, that is exact not. But those 2 will stick around, I think, for a bit. And then we can put everything else away. We're on a good pace. It's 43 minutes into this debacle, and we got 2 decks done. I'll be done before 2 hours for sure. All right. Let's see here. Let me get another drink real quick of water. Hydrate. All right. Let's see here. Okay, we're gonna do Omnath here. It's landfall. Lots of cool stuff, in my opinion. But I'm sure everybody's like, it's a fucking Omnath deck. All right, just gotta get rid of the land here. All right. Let's see here. All right. So it's a landfall deck. It's it's kind of focusing on the gain life and then using the 4 mana. I'm not always hitting the third one. I have no infinite. I do have infinite landfall in here, but I don't, don't run the tutors for it. I've hit it one time and then you know, if I don't have a landfall, then it doesn't work. But I can go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and do it. But let's see here. Can't wait for my list again. For Omnath. Okay, so Omnath is there. It's 4 colors, 4/4. When it ETBs, draw a card, and then first landfall draws you or gains you 4 life, and then the second one gets you 4 mana, and the third one deals 4 damage to each player or each opponent. So, going through, I'm going to cut Ramonop Excavator for the Tireless Provisioner. It's basically a Lotus Cobra that creates treasure tokens instead of mana going away. It should have been in here. It might have already been in here. I don't know why it wasn't in there. Um, but yeah. All right. Omnath, Locust of the Royal. I bought it for this deck just this winter. Um, and I don't think it's a perfect fit, but Ashaya I think is, because all your creatures then, let's see. Ashaya, the world power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. So those will trigger your landfall. Um, and that I think is going to be really nice here. All right, getting rid of Scrib Rangers. I do like it in this deck. But I'm looking for potential other ways to get lands in on opponents' turns just to trigger it more. A much better fit. Yeah. Yep. The Omnath. This Omnath is better in an elemental build. Like I'm only using maybe partial of the card in this version. The Rook Grazer does pick up a basic land into the hand, and then it also returns a basic land into play. It has vigilance. It's a little bit of a blocker. This only returns forests back to your hand, which is nice. But I think this dual ability here, I think that's going to be a little bit nicer. So we'll work on putting that in there. All right, Druid class again. There for the gaining life with the landfall, but also able to put it in more. Azusa is putting 2 lands into play if I so wish. But it's kind of a liability. Shoot. And it doesn't block much. It's 3 mana. And I think I just really like Druid class. That's my own fault here. All right. I don't think I think I like trade routes. I think I was going to cut it and then didn't. All right, and then I'm going to go through the deck. But Sword of Hearth and Home, it can blink Omnath to reset it for the landfall triggers if I want. I have a couple of more ETB things, but it also goes and gets a land put into play tapped. It's a maybe. I don't have a lot of ETB creatures. Bloom Tender, it's going to get me a lot of mana, so I like that. Planar Overlay, each player chooses a land he or she controls of each basic land type, return those lands to their owner's hands. So that allows I'm going to be playing more lands anyway, and it sets everybody else back a little bit. So kind of a cool card there. Harrow, I don't know why I don't have it in here, but I have not been able to find a spot for it either. Tunneling Geopede and Spitfire Legic. They're there for just the more damage. I'm not too wrapped up about it though. Because it's not something that I count on with Omnath, so it's not really in the feel of the deck anyway. Give us 5-color completed Omnath. Oh, are you when you're saying completed? Are you saying Phyrexian, Cole? Because I can agree with that. I can agree with that. All right. Trade routes allows me to okay. Seeing if any of these cards go in here, and then we'll move on to the next one. But trade routes allows me to pick up a land card and then also ditch it to draw a card. Works pretty well on here. We just put Druid class. We put those in. Heroic Intervention is just some good protection, solid. Nesting Dragon is going to make those tokens on the landfall, so we like that. Ancient Green Warden is there. It double triggers just so that people know. When it double triggers that happen, it gives you the 4 life, and then the 4 mana. It doesn't go 4 life for just one land. It goes 4 life and then 4 mana for one land drop with Ancient Green Warden in play. Also allows you to play lands from your graveyard as well. So that's pretty nice. Lotus Cobra is just there for the landfall manas. Walking Atlas taps to put land into play from your hand. Helm of the Host is crazy when you get an Omnath, and it's easy in this deck because you're creating the 4 extra mana, so that's a free put down. And then if you have 5 open mana, you reattach it and then make a new Omnath, draw cards, and then you're double triggering it. It's pretty sweet. Patron of the Moon is maybe another way that I go infinite landfall, but it's one thing that I with the 4 free mana with Omnath, I like that 7 spot. It's a really nice sweet spot because that means I only need 3 open mana to be able to cast a big fatty, like Patron of the Moon that helps me with landfall triggers. Scoot Swarm, making tokens for landfalls. Sakashima, the impersonators in there to copy Omnath. Asa is landfall, draw card, and play an additional land. It's sweet. Drogskull Reaver. I'm going to be playing, gaining 4 life a lot of turns, so I'm going to draw more cards off of that. It also gains me life. It's sweet. Birds of Paradise for the manas, Arcane Signet for the manas, Land of War Scout taps put a land into play, which is nice. Those are nice cards because they allow me to put land from my hand into play on other people's turns to trigger the 4 life. I can't generally use as much of that mana because most of the time it is creatures that I'm doing or using. Chromatic Lantern for the manas, Exploration to put land into play, extra. Growth Spiral is to draw and put extra land into play. That's instant speed, really nice. Cyclonic Rift is 7 mana for casting it. Like I said, that 7 mana spot is pretty sweet. Gisela at 7 mana. Also, that'll double the 4 damage on the 3rd landfall trigger, so that brings it up to 8. Kind of nice there. Felidar is there to make tokens. Well of Lost Dreams, play land, pay 4, draw 4 seems pretty good. So landfall there. Beast Within is nice removal. Vandal Blast, nice artifact removal. Sensei's Top, had them in every deck. Mary Angel is landfall for a token. Shalai is great protection. That's the second time we've seen it tonight. Splendid Reclamation. I do have lands going into the graveyard, so a way to bring it all back is awesome. Rune Ghost is part of my landfall infinite combo. And I'll explain it, but this is 1 white, tap it, exile a land, bring it back into play right away. And then we'll get to the other half of that card. But this is a great landfall card. I suggest it. Shield of the Oversoul gives Omnath +2/+2, indestructible and flying. Tadiova is landfall, draw a card. Great Henge is gaining life again, along with everything that it does. It's crazy. Life from the Loam is just bringing fetches back from a graveyard to my hand. Wayward Swordtooth allows me to play extra lands per turn. Tireless Tracker is creating clue tokens with the landfall to draw cards. Spark Double's there to copy Omnath. Chromatic Orrery is that 7 spot, but it's also drawing a ton of cards. It's a 4-color deck. I'm going to be able to get 4 draws off that. Sakura Tribe Scout taps to put a land into play on other people's turns. Sakura Tribe Scout, Steve! Right. Retreat to Emeria is there to landfall, create a creature token. Generous Gift is removal. Boots, protection. Kodama's Reach is just nice for more landfall. Aetherflux Reservoir. Again, I'm here more for the gaining life. So it works there. Shit, that's like the 4th deck. Muldrotha, Trelasara, Feather, and Omnath? Maybe that's how that works. I don't know. Soul Ring is there for ramp. Heliod, Crown Sun. When I have enough gaining life, so I can put counters on a creature of whatever, but also giving Omnath lifelink when you deal that 4 damage, that's helping you that you're gonna gain 12 life off that. So that's pretty sweet there. Cultivate is ramp. Euro is just it's life gain, it's draw, it's putting extra land into play, being able to recast it. It's pretty sweet. Retreat to Coral Helm is the other half of that infinite landfall combo with Rune Ghost, because whenever your landfall, you can untap Rune Ghost to do it again. So it works quite well. Chaos Warp is removal. Crop Rotation is just nice to go and get a bounce land with. Mina and Den allows you to play more lands per turn. Steel of the Godhead is +2/+2 on Omnath, which with unblockable and lifelink. And like I said, lifelink works when you're dealing 4 damage to each player, you're gaining that much life. Sylvan Library is drawing cards. Burgeoning is putting lands into play. Badoka Gardener is putting lands into play as a tap ability. And Aura Shards is destroying artifacts and enchantments. Fuck. I didn't find anything I could cut there. Nothing just stood out and screamed. I'm going to go through that really quick, but I don't think anything's making it in here. Burgeoning. Let's see here. Let's do that. Steel, Mina and Den. Did Mina and Den be cut for the Harrow? Maybe. Crop rotation. Chaos Warp. Retreat. Is Euro. Euro's sweet, but I don't know if this is the best card for it. Or tax. You gain 3 life and draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield. That's. I think this is a good deck for it, so I think that's what we'll go with. Heliod. Yep. Swiftfoot. Square Tribe, Scout. I don't like that it doesn't block, but being able to put it on other people's turns is quite good for the gaining the 4 life. The other thing about Tireless Tracker is sometimes with that 4 mana that's made, it you get some leftover mana and you can just use it on those clues to draw extra cards. See here, Rune Ghost. Yeah, I don't think might have gotten Arrow in here makes sense. Like I'm happy with that. Rift, Growth. Let's see here. The land back to your hand is too good for consistent land drops. Oh, you're talking about Mina and Den. I almost never use that. Like I think I've used it more for the trample. I have not had an issue with land drops here. But it's questionable. Like I have plenty of these little tappers that put land into play on other people's turns because all I really care about is the just gaining life. I'm fine with that. All right. I won't cut. I'll listen to you. Let's just put all of those into the general. I don't think I want any of them other than maybe these two, but I don't think I need to. All right. All right. My land count's 38. Travis, I can go through some of the lands so you can see what I'm using too, since that's kind of important here. All right, let's see. All right. Normally I run 12 basics, so I'm just going to assume that's what it is and more than likely what it is. I have plenty of fetches, plenty of things that can go and get fetches. I still like my temples here. I don't I- duels, basics, fetchables. Ghost Town is fantastic for landfall decks. I highly suggest getting it. It's super cheap too. Um There we go. The other thing that's kind of nice about the scry lands in this kind of deck is when you get to the bounce lands. So something like, is it Boilerworks or something? You can pick up your scry land and get more scry out of it. Um, a Boro is an expensive baby, but it's pretty fantastic in this deck. Thawing Glaciers, it's a little slow, but also it's quite good, especially if you're able to just like when you pick it up and then you can get it down before the next turn and then it can untap. It's quite good. The bounce lands are really nice. I think I have 2 of them in here. Yeah, so Simic and Izzet Boiler. Oh, I got Boros Garrison as well. That's it. And Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead is gonna. I've had that start running a bunch of tokens out there too. So nothing too crazy, but plenty of fetches, plenty of fetchable lands, um, and plenty of basics. That's what you want. All right, not doing too bad here. All right, let's do Will and Mike. That's the last one here. Um, I did get to play this in a game that we recorded, and I kind of went infinite combo, and I didn't realize I was going to do that. So I want to change that up a bit. I want to make sure I get rid of that. So again, this is a 3-color deck, so I run 38 land. I try. It might be down to 37. I've been getting sloppy with that lady lately. So Mike and Will, it's really more centered around Will getting the clue tokens for the life. All right. Let's see here. What are the cards that are going in? Oop. All right. So wanting more land in here. Bramble Sovereign's cool. Just a bit too expensive. And so I'm gonna run Esper Sentinel in here. Oop. Probably just too easy. But God, is it a good card, right? All right. Second bit here is gonna be getting rid of Lampad Deaths of Vigil. It's sacrificing a creature, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. And it's just mana intensive to do it a bunch, and like maybe I just don't care. So I'm more worried about just doing it for free, 2/2, and then it's 2 life, and I gain 2 life. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the right bit, but it'll be fine. Adding in Disciple of the Vault and Marionette Master. Holy moly. Oboro's $70 or $80 now. That's that blue land I was saying that you should get. I was thinking it was like 40, 50, and that's still expensive. But okay, back to this deck. I had a little thought on like a discard package in here, and it doesn't because it if I'm discarding, people are more likely to get or pick up the clues, which gives me more clues, and I just don't think it works. So I'm gonna cut the discard and put in the hate. So just getting rid of clues and being able to ping everybody. Liliana goes away. We have Disciple of the Vault. Just start pinging people. That's just kind of what this deck does anyway. All right. Cutting Zulaport, because this isn't, yeah. And then putting in a background of whenever commander creatures you own have, whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. I lose out on the gain life trigger, but Will is pretty easy to get out, and so I'm more looking for that. I think that works nicely. Just sacrifice a bunch of clues. And then Pitiless Plunder was my the combo enabler, and so I'm gonna get rid of that rather than Chatterfang. And then gonna get this in there, and then tokens you have get tap, add a green. That's what I'm going for. Let's see here. So that should be helpful. Turns all those clues into green mana, which would be nice. Can't complain about that too much. All right, let's go over the cards that I still want to try and get in. We'll see if we can get those in. We can go through the deck as well. This is the last deck that I'll be working on here. Ash Rider. When an ETBs or dies, exile target permanent. And this is kind of a reanimator deck, but it might just be a little too expensive for what's going on. Cranial Plating, all those clues give that +1/+0. And so kind of gives anything makes anything a threat. Bootlegger's Stash is just adding artifacts onto the battlefield and potential ramp. Life Insurance, it has Extort. Whenever a non-token creature dies, I lose a life and create a treasure token. It might be just a little expensive for what I got going on, but 5 mana is just probably too much for what's going on, but we'll try and fit it in there. One of my new favorite cards, Rumor Gatherer. It's going to scry me cards. It's going to draw me cards. It's fantastic. And then Myth Unbound. Your commander costs 1 less to cast for each time it's been cast from your command zone this game. And then whenever a commander is put into the command zone from anywhere, draw a card. We'll see. Yeah, Ghost Town is really good. If you're unwilling to get Oboro, it's totally understandable. Go and get Ghost Town. It's sweet. All right. So looking to get 5 cards in here. This is kind of a aristocrat style deck, but mixed in with clues and treasures and stuff like that. More clues than anything, but Morbid Opportunist. Once per turn, whenever a creature dies, you draw a card. That's pretty sweet. Search the premises. Whenever any creature attacks me, I get a clue for each of those. It just works in theme. Tireless Tracker is landfall, get a clue token. Yawgmoth is sacrificing creatures to draw cards. That's essentially what's going on here. It's a sacrifice. It's a sack outlet to draw cards. Ulvenwald Mysteries. Whenever I have a creature die, non-token creature die, I get a clue token. And then whenever I sacrifice a clue token, this is the main thing, is I get a 1/1 creature token. So it's in there for that, for the most part. Viridian Revel. Other people are potentially taking clue tokens, which allow me to draw, but just a general good card against treasures nowadays. Because whenever anybody has an artifact go into their graveyard, you draw a card. Viscera Seer is a sack outlet to scry. Aetherworks Marvel is fantastic. I can, whenever a permanent you control is put in the graveyard, you get an energy counter. I can just start sacrificing clues to get the energy, tap to put stuff into play for free. It's a pretty cool card. Guardian Project is going to draw me cards off of Will coming into play since I stop. Bolus's Citadel is just being able to play off the top, but also sacrificing clue tokens to have everybody lose 10 life. Skull Clamp is there just to draw cards. Monstrum Pulse is getting rid of, it's just removal. It's nice removal. Dictate of Erebos is removal for whenever my creatures are dying. They also have to sacrifice. Blind Obedience is some life gain a bit, but also just slowing everybody down. Assassin's Trophy is removal. Martyr's Bond, whenever I sacrifice a clue, they have to sacrifice an artifact. So kind of works pretty nice. And whenever a creature dies, they got to do that same thing. Enchantments, Anguished Unmaking is just removal. Druid of Purification is also just artifact enchantment removal. Dispatch is exile a creature. Night of Autumn is removal for artifacts enchantments. Pest Infestation is fantastic removal. Chatterfang is awesome in this deck. Lifeline brings Will the Wise back as much as possible. Same thing with Athreos and Phyrexian Reclamation. Journey to Eternity also is bringing stuff back. Eternal Witnesses, going from the graveyard. Gift of Immortality allows Will to come back and then kind of just cycle through it once per turn. Witch's Oven is a sack outlet. Gilded Goose is mana, but also just making food tokens. Um, it works. It works more than you'd like. Academy Manufacturer just increases the amount of tokens that you get. Arcbound Crusher gets +1/+1 counters on it for each time an artifact comes into play, so it should get fairly huge. Herald of Anguish, it's still part of that discard part, but I can sacrifice clues to give creatures -2/-2, and then it has Improvise, so it gets cheaper as the more clues I have. Bastion of Remembrance. Um, it's just aristocrats. Dina is a sack outlet, but also whenever you gain a life, they lose a life. So it kind of works there. Uh, Underhanded Designs is also aristocrat, but for artifacts coming into play, you got to pay 1. It's pretty nice. And then Cauldron Familiar works in here as well. With food tokens, like I was saying earlier with the goose. Now to use Nightblade. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, they lose 1, you gain 1. Poison Tip Archer, aristocrats. Exsanguinate is a nice card, just being able to. It's just a bigger version trying to end the game. It's not Torment of Hellfire either, so it works nice. Doot doot. Dina is a true trooper. I like how she smiles even in the darkest of situations. So true. It's so true. She's just tough. She's a tough cookie. The Meat Hut Massacre is removal and also aristocrats. Cart Clan Ironworks gives me a ton of mana, sacrificing clues. Signet, Tireless Provisioner gets me treasure tokens. Soul Rings there. Sakura Tribe Elder for the mana. Deathrite Shaman is, whatever it needs to be. Elves, Pilgrim, Bird, Ashnod's Altar is mana with the sacrifice. Blinking, Will the Wise is really nice. Primal Growth, Inspiring. Shoot. What do I want to force in? Okay, Ashen Rider gets cut. Life Insurance gets cut. Steve again. You're right. Did I get Steve in every deck today? I think so. Oh. All right. I think Myth Unbound doesn't quite work here. I don't think Will the Wise goes to the to the command zone much. So Cranial Plating, Rumor Gatherer, and Bootlegger Stash. I'd probably like to try and get in there. Steve and Team Force. That's good. That is good. All right. So this stuff. Rumor has it. All right. Let's try and mix this up a little bit. I'd like Rumor Gatherer at least in, and I think Cranial Plating makes just anything kind of a threat. All right. And Bootlegger Stash is really nice with Chatterfang. All right. Pest Infestation, I think that stays good. So that's Pump, that's Ramp, that's Draw. Cart Clan, maybe that's something similar. Like, it's nice to get rid of the clues, sacrifice them if I so need, but Bootlegger Stash might be just a better version, creating more tokens. Yeah, I kind of like that thought pattern. Okay, Cole, we could do caps like Lowry's Nicol Bolas hat, but the CS print under the bill of the hat. So we need to find like a hat maker. Maybe. Statuary is very good. Meat Hook. Yeah, that probably works. All right. Viscera Seer. That's good. Drawing. Yeah, that'll draw me a ton more cards. Night of Autumn works. Yep. Yeah, this is all. So cranial plating isn't necessarily like on theme, so I might not care about that. Um, could be nice putting it on a Chatterfang though. Team Forest Walk. Ashnod's Altar for mana. I'd rather have a sack outlet for Will, but I don't know if I necessarily like this. I still don't think. Because I think just the Exsanguinite is something that I really want to go high on. Everything else is pretty solid on the list. Rise up. TFW? What does that mean? I'm too old for TFW. What, I don't hashtag because my brain just wants to say for the win, but Team Force Walk. Got there. I got there. I got there. Team Forest Walk. All right. Tireless Provisioner. Pilgrim. Maybe I don't care about the Bastion. Cranial plating might just do more work here. All right. Revel. Disciple. Dictate. Exsanguinate, like I said, is one of the biggest things. Search the premises. Man, Clark Clan Ironworks seems like Master. Tireless. Still like the idea of Clark Clan. Like I think that's gonna do some work. All right. Opportunist. Marvel. Maelstrom Pulse. Needs a removal. Ramp. Removal. All right. Lifeline makes sense here. Skull Clamp. Then Aristocrat's deck. I mean, those are just going to work. We're kind of setting that 6 spot pretty high. There's a handful of stuff there for sure. All right. Are we just getting rid of that? Is that what's going on? Sacrifice a creature. Each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Would I rather just have Rumor Gatherer? Maybe. Like at least mana wise, 2, 3. It's a little better. Oh, we do have that. Blind Obedience is there as the probably that is a random card. I don't quite remember. Oh, because it counted for just casting cards and like doing the extort thing. Yeah, that kind of works. Very aristocracies. Clap for the win. Removal. Food. That is a token maker. Kind of getting rid of the aristocrats thing, but that's fine too. Yep. All right. Okay. We at least have some idea here. I think I want Clark Clan in there. I think that's just mana. I think that's pretty awesome. I think we keep cranial plating out. I think we switch those two around. And I still think I probably hold on to Bastion of Remembrance. But I can get rid of the Vermin Gorger, I think. But I think Bootlegger's Stash is going to be really nice in here. Hey, Daniel. Thanks for joining us. All right. So I think we keep that. The keep that. Let's see here. Yeah, I got the stash in there. I'm going to be happy with that. I think an hour and 20. This went a lot quicker than how I normally do it. Pretty happy with this. I'm going to stick with this way of doing these videos. I think you get to see a lot more decks that way. I'm moving through it. You can see what and why I'm doing it. Um, I think, yeah, I think I'm going to be done. I think I'll cut it next week on Friday. Next Friday, we're going to play some games. We got a box opening for the patrons next week, which is going to be pretty cool. We got the podcast on Monday that we're going to record 9 o'clock. Most of the time we start 9 o'clock Central. We're Minnesotans and we have kids that all don't want to go to bed on time. So I think I was listening to the podcast and saw you were live. Fun. I'm glad that you joined. I'm sorry that I'm ending it though. But I think a couple of us from the Discord, we are building 5-color Street Fighter decks, and that's what I'm going to be working on in 2 weeks. So I think that's what's and that should be fun. I'm kind of excited about that deck. It's hodgepodgey for sure, but it's being fun. Um, I'm gonna assume that you're saying that you like the way that this switcheroo is going versus the old one, and I do too. So I we're on the same page, Travis. Um, so yeah. Oh, let's see. No, no, no. You don't have to send me any list. I want surprises. You guys can see my list, but I want it to be surprised because I think we're gonna try and play a 4-person, 5-color Street Fighter game. And that I think is gonna be fun. It's gonna be crazy, and we'll see how similar the decks end up or different. I know everybody has different themes. Mine's gonna be a fighting theme. Renshai's is gonna be human. Um, and then Jacuzzi's gonna be warrior. I think the other one, I don't know what the other theme was. No, I don't think there's a deadline. Like, I'm gonna have it done probably in 2.5 weeks. Like, I'll probably do it after next week is busy with the box opening, and so I'll start it the next week, and I'll probably be into it. So it'll take at least 2 shots at it. Yes, the live games are for patrons. So, last time we had Jacuzzi and Renshai play. We prefer to have, if whoever's going to be able to play is going to be able to play, but we do want, you know, at least different people every once in a while. So, but we're aiming for patrons to do it. So, and it just costs $1 to be a patron. If you're listening to this and you're not, it's fun. We get some good discussions in there. It's not all magic. We also you can follow us on Twitter. That's where we put all our content as it's coming out, or the next day. You know, yeah. End of the month is, I think, is a good aim. Yeah. So by the end of August for Street Fighter decks. Um, what else is there? Got me chit chatting, which is great. But um, as I'm talking, I'm going, oh, that's why my kids go, um, then they talk. They're little cuties. Yeah, I'm gonna say goodnight. I'll probably see a bunch of you over in the Discord too. Uh, thanks for watching and hit that like button if it would, or that subscribe if you're new to us. Either way, I appreciate you. Have a good night.